likes a prophet, historically. That's absolutely true. Prophets hold up, when I talk about self-reflection, prophets hold mirrors up to us and to our institutions, and oftentimes that becomes extremely uncomfortable for us. Prophets in the Hebrew tradition were killed, typically, for doing this. Jesus says time after time after time that he is going to be killed because he's holding a mirror up to the institutions that are running and ruling the daily lives of Israelites. The first reading in Deuteronomy made me think, how are we preparing this up? Jesus cast demons out of a man in the temple, and Deuteronomy, I'll raise up for you a prophet. The reading in Deuteronomy is Moses speaking, and Moses is introducing us to the two great strains of teachers in Israel. And you have the priestly strain, and you have the prophetic strain now. The priests, or the rabbis, they're sort of the company men. They protect the institution. They sort of revere the institution, sometimes more than God and the Word of God. And they get very comfortable doing that. Jesus is a lay person, like most of the people in here. We'll see what he's acting like. But the priests, I'm kind of like the priest. I have to be a little bit like the priest. I kind of protect the institution. I'm not a member of this church. I'm a member of the Boise Presbytery. I tithe to this church. But I'm supposed to protect the institution. And every time, I don't know about you, if you think about your own life, every time I've tried to be a prophet, in the Navy, and anywhere else, I may feel like I'm right, and I think I did the right thing, but it usually turns out pretty bad. You're not the hero when you're a prophet. The prophets come within the tradition, and they criticize the very institution that the priests are protecting. The prophets make us feel uncomfortable. And very rarely in history, we have people who combine both prophetic word and prophet tendencies and priestly tendencies. So let's look at Moses. Moses gathers all of Israel, right, and leads them out into the desert, gets them away from Pharaoh. But he's witheringly critical of the people of Israel. In fact, he complains to God so much about the Israelites, about their complaining and their grumbling and their griping, that finally God says, okay, Moses, I have heard enough. Enough is enough. I tell you what I'll do. I made that promise to Abraham. I made it to Isaac and Jacob. But you know what? I'll just wipe them out. We'll just start over. And everybody will be your child and your descendant. And Moses says, no, don't do that. Moses has the priestly and the prophetic. And then we look at Jesus, and I think this is going to help us as we look at Mark. Jesus is acting like a prophet a lot of the times. He rises from within the Hebrew tradition, because you can't have a prophet who's from the outside. For instance, someone from England criticizing the American form of government is not going to have a whole lot of credibility. It takes someone from within. So Jesus loves his people. See Jesus here in the synagogue at age 12. Remember the story when Mary and Joseph, everybody left, and Jesus is staying in the synagogue? Jesus loves the synagogue. He loves his religion, and he loves his people. But he is just lethally critical of the hypocrisy of the people that are running the mechanics of the religion. He's the prophet that holds up the mirror to the priests of the institution that he loves. And so we have this combination of Jesus as priest and prophet and ultimately king. I think this is one of the best examples that I can give you. So Jesus driving the money changers out of the temple shows two things, doesn't it? It shows Jesus protecting the temple. Zeal for my Father's house will consume me. So he's protecting the temple and the traditions, but at the same time, he's attacking what the temple has become through the hypocrisy of the priests, who steal from the widows and the orphans and enrich themselves and fatten themselves with the first cuts of meat and that kind of thing. So, now we get into Mark. And this is no small symbol. First chapter of Mark, Jesus encounters an evil spirit. Where does he encounter the evil spirit? In a bar, right? Because I'm not supposed to drink. No, wait, I'm sorry. It's in a brothel. That's where he encounters the evil spirit. It's in the brothel. No. It's in the church. It's in the synagogue. You don't like this. And the way most sermons will go from this is, typically, and I think it's a small way to do it, is we go on a mole hunt, right? Like in the intel community. We've got to protect the purity of the church. Pastor, you're absolutely right. We got to go find out who these evil spirits are in our church and cast them out. We got, that's it's a small part, I think, of the story. And we also have to be careful too, because you know what? The voice that we may not like to hear in the church, the voice that's constantly talking, the voice that may seem like whatever, may be a prophet. May be a prophet. No, the symbolism here and the big story is Jesus comes and says, I found the evil, and it's inside the synagogue. That's the big message, the big story. And what else is happening in this story? The people apparently aren't even aware that they've got this demon inside the church, are they? They don't even they don't notice it. It's never occurred to them. And Jesus comes and recognizes. And if we think about the Jesus who criticizes religion the way it had become in the temple, this begins to make perfect sense, doesn't it? I drew from Richard Rohr and C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis, I talked to you about the screw tape letters. The elder screw tape who is teaching Wormwood, the young tempter, the young devil, and helping him to tempt this human being. And Wormwood says, oh no, Uncle Screwtape, disaster. My human has joined the church. And does Screwtape say, oh boy, you really screwed up now. You've lost him. You've lost him for hell and Satan and the devil. You let him join the church. You know what he says? This is wonderful news. Because evil can hide out in places where it pretends to be doing good. Let's be honest. We can be materialistic. We can be racist. We can be anti-women. We can use the Bible to tell women to be silent in church, can't we? And it was done for hundreds of years. We can tell women they don't have a place at the table. They shouldn't be ordained. In our own church, it was, I think, 1960-something before women were allowed to be ordained. We can find evil in the church. It's a great place to hide out. People use the Bible in our country to justify slavery. Why? Because Paul said, slaves, obey your masters. So we have to be very careful. Evil has a good way of hiding out in the church. So Jesus is acting as a prophet and a priest. What do prophets typically get, though? By the way, please, can I have another slide? So last week my dad said, really need to say please and thank you to the lady who changes her slides. Thank you, Gene. Martin Luther King was a prophet, gunned down at the Lorraine Motel, because he held up a mirror to us as a country. Can I have one more? Gandhi. Gandhi was gunned down from within, an Indian gunned Gandhi down for speaking the truth to power. Sorry, I lost my place here for a second. We need both, though, because priests tend to protect the institution, and after a while, we get really comfortable. Prophets say tear everything down. If it's just one way or the other, you're not going to get anything done. We need holistic healing. We need a bigger vision. Let's take a look at one more prophet. You wonder why I like Mr. Rogers. I know, maybe you get sick of it, but sorry. It's a video. You pushing the forward button?
Somebody at the door. Oh, it's Officer Clemens. Oh, that's good. Officer Clemens. Hi, Mrs. Clemens. Why don't you come in? Great to live in a neighborhood with special people like Officer Clemens. Hi, Officer Clemens. Come in. It's so warm, I was just putting some water on my feet.
Oh, it sure is.
Would you like to join me?
It looks awfully enjoyable, but I don't have a towel or anything.
Oh, you share mine.
Okay, sure.
Cool water on a hot day. Hi, Miss Cole. Welcome. I'd like you to meet my neighbor. Sometimes just a minute like this will really make a difference.
One of the things I like about this church so much and about all of you is I know that if whoever walked in the back door back there, and I've seen it happen with people that have never walked in, all of you go and embrace and hug that person. Maybe not literally, but embrace that person. It's one of the things I'm starting to think, I don't want this to come across like I'm being too preachy, you know what I mean? I really like this church for that. But I think the church universal, I think we have a problem. I was having lunch with a pastor a while ago who told me, he said, "Are you instructing your congregation how they need to vote?" I said, "No." And he said, "Oh, you're one of those nutless, gutless wonders who won't tell people who to vote for." I said, "Excuse me?" Sorry for the language, but that's what he called me. Because God is a Republican. God is a Democrat. And if you don't see it, then we're a blankless, gutless wonder. And I'm a blankless, gutless wonder because I'm not telling you what you ought to do. Because the church needs to take a side. That's a small vision. That's a small truth. That's a small God. We need prophets right now. And we have a man who has no shirt on, face paint all over his face, and a helmet with horns sitting at the Speaker of the House's desk after breaking in. And then the next day we have people calling for tribunals that say whoever voted for that other person needs to be put on trial, lose government contracts, have their tenure taken away as prophetic. We need a prophet. We need a prophet. As a church, I love KMCC. I don't see us needing a prophet that bad. But the Church Universal, when we tell people what side we're on, when we latch our wagons to one person, one group of people, when we're too pro this and too anti that, we're saved, they're not. These people belong, those people don't. And we're worshiping a small God. Jesus was killed for being a prophet because he said this is not the way. I think we tend to do a pretty good job here at KMCC following the way. But we just need to be careful, I think, not to go down a slippery slope. When the church universal starts to pick sides, we're not following the way of Jesus. I hope that makes sense.